Hello and welcome to this special edition of the ILEETA Learning Lab. I'm Joe Willis, the Deputy Executive Director for ILEETA, and today I'm here with Harinder Singh. He is going to be presenting a class at ILEETA called Leaders Follow First, Mastering Trust and Perceptive Awareness. Now, this class, I'll be honest with you, Harinder, I've been looking forward to this conversation. This is something that sounds so fascinating to me. So I'm curious about two things right off the bat. First of all, what brought you to this topic? And then second, what are we going to learn?
I love it, man. First of all, Joe, good to see you. Everybody coming to the conference, everybody watching. I look forward to seeing everybody. In study of mastery and study of great operators, I noticed something across the board. The best teachers, the best leaders, the best operators, there's something very different about them. They do things differently. And how they do things differently is that they operate from a place of accurate perceptive awareness, and they operate from a place of trust. But that trust that they have is this unshakable trust in themselves, in their process, and in their ability to adapt. So, they have a very different relationship with fear and with doubt. And so through training and through the work I've done with my teachers, the training sessions that I provided, and just being around people that are very masterful at what they do, there's these common traits. And if we look at all effective interactions, everything is a relationship, everything's an interaction. And in all interactions, there's something called the art of following. The art of following precedes anything else. And many times we overlook the state of the operator. We overlook our ability to be here, be present, and accurately see what's happening. Because there's a very big difference between what we think is happening and what is actually happening. And what that comes down to is our interpretive filters. So as General Sun Tzu said, know yourself to know the enemy. So this first knowledge is about myself, is what are my filters? Because, we all talk about reading the room. So the thing, though, is you may be reading the room, there's input coming, but what filter is it going through? So as a leader, I must study my input filters, my biases, my preferences, my likes, my dislikes, because I'm running everything through a filter. And when I run through things through a filter, that's my own filter, then it's what I think is happening, not what's actually happening. And then that can change how we make our choices and our decisions.
So cool. And, I will tell you that when you watch a masterful instructor, a facilitator, not a lecturer, not a sage on the stage, but genuinely a guide within the audience, a guide beside somebody who is truly embracing the moment for training and teaching, that's what they're showing. And so let's pull the thread a little bit, not only on what it is, but why it happens and how do we get there? What are the, I guarantee that if you and I were to spend ages trying to define an exact path, we would have this really cool conversation and still not be able to explain every step. But what are some of the key fundamentals that will get one from the sage on the stage to genuinely being present and reading the room effectively? You mentioned the transition from IQ to EQ to CQ, that conscious intelligence. Tell me a little bit about what that means and what it has to do with the accurate perceptive awareness.
Okay, so we all know in the beginning when we measured a performance, or you looked at CEOs or leadership, they looked at IQ, right? How much information you knew, intellect. And then after we came along, we're like, okay, let's go to EQ, the emotional capacity, the emotional quotient. Okay, can we feel what's happening? But where we're headed is to CQ, which is a conscious intelligence. Consciousness, if we take a look at it, is awareness of awareness itself. Can I be an observer? Right, and this observational ability has to be trained. It has to be trained in every aspect of the things that I do. What ends up happening is we're up in our heads, and we spend most of our time up in our heads, thinking about things, analyzing things, thinking about things that have happened, worried about things that are happening in the future. And now you're living in either the past or in the future. So in the future, you're worried about something. In the past, you're stuck to something that happened. But the operating system of consciousness happens right now in this moment. It
Right.
can only happen in this moment. And as operators, we must train ourselves to live here now. After all, it says human beings, not human doings, not human thinkings,
Yeah.
right? We got to be here now. And I think the biggest thing is that we spend a lot of our time up in our heads. We got to get out of our heads into our bodies, into the ground, and turn our awareness into a weapon. Because we all know there's this gut feeling. There's this sixth sense that kicks on and it turns on when shit hits the fan, when things
Yeah.
get, crazy. But the point is, how come I need to wait for this to kick on? How do I train this as an operating system that this is where I want to come from? And if I can come from calm down, because we live in a reactively tense society, and tension rises, tension goes up, tension of the thoughts, tension of the mind, tension of the breath, everything speeds up, time speeds up. But that's why they say calm down. They don't say calm up, right? And so can I have this as an operating system that is a practice I do? It's a strategy for how I deal with obstacles. And it's a way of life, because if a practice, a strategy, and a way of life, if they're all the same thing and they all operate around me going time out, pause, take in a breath, step back, expand my awareness, and now I choose a conscious response as opposed to a reactive tension-based response that I just do. That changes how I operate.
I love it. Let's actually kind of spend some time in that space right there, where you mentioned that somatic awareness, right? The gut feeling, and in this moment, this is my experience. And you mentioned breathing as an example of controlling that. The um, let's define who we're speaking to in this moment. Is it the operator, that is the officer or the warrior in this moment getting ready for the fight? They are inbound to a hot call, they are moving to contact, whatever it is. Are we talking about the leader who is making that hard conscious decision in a boardroom, or maybe wherever in a command center? Or are we talking about the trainer stepping in front of a huge audience, or even one-on-one small coaching facilitation? Because you talked about fear being present in the moment and embracing that and leaning into it. And your words were different and better, but who are we talking to?
We're talking to everybody.
Dude,
We're
I love
talking
it.
to
And
all
that's
of
what
the
I thought you
above,
were going to say. Yeah.
right? Because, okay, there's nothing in this world that could be disassociated from my relationship from my center. Nothing. No good times, no bad times. The best times I'm present, the times where I mistake or I have a mistake or I make a mistake, it's because I'm not here, right? So I'll back up a little bit, Joe, and tell you about the law of effective interaction, okay? The law of effective interaction states the following. Your perception determines the experience of the event that you're having, and then that determines the actions that we take. So my perceptive experience determines the actions that I take. So here's the question. Who is perceiving? Am I perceiving from fear and doubt? Am I perceiving from stress and tension and anxiety? Am I perceiving from a state of being rushed where I wasn't prepared? Am I perceiving from a state of, I had an argument last night with my wife and it's still bothering me this morning? Because if I am, I'm not perceiving from the center as a person who is an unbiased observer, non-judgmental of what's happening, so I can clearly see things. And that's what changes, because there can be no trust. The only way I can trust myself is if I know I'm coming from the center of who I am. I'm not coming from fear. I'm not coming from doubt. I'm not coming from this mask that I show to the world. I'm coming from the truth. And that's the most important thing, because that's the only way I can have trust. Why? Because when I'm coming from that center of who I am, guess what? My perception is going to be accurate. The event is what's actually happening. Now, my actions will be commensurate. The further deviated I am from the center, guess what? My perception will be influenced. My experience of the event will be influenced. My actions will be influenced. So that's why we always say the state of the operator is far greater than any strategy or tactics. It always comes down to that.
Yeah. And I think, I really enjoyed how you mentioned the time component of this. So many times, and we talk about the need to slow down. I think you've even mentioned it a couple times already. The need to slow down. There's a belief out there, especially early in our careers, whether it's as a field operator trying to get to that call, make things happen, make the right decisions, or as a leader, people are expecting you to deliver the right answer right now. Time is on our side when we are able to center ourselves in the moment, if I'm hearing you correctly, and be comfortable and conscious and trust ourselves. So, how do I get there? How do I develop an increased level of trust as whether it's the operator en route to a hot call or the leader needing to make the right decision in the moment?
Well, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. We know that, right? So we have to practice this. This can't be, so Joe, this can't be a thing where now when I'm going to go give this presentation, I'm going to go lead this team, I'm going to go out into the field, or stuff gets crazy and now I slow myself down. No, your operating process has to be that I'm coming from a place of always slowing myself down. Like that's my base operating system, is I'm always in a state of bringing myself down regardless of what's happening. And how do we do that very practically, right? That's the key thing. Practically, I'll tell everybody watching, all right? Set 5 alarms. Set 5 alarms that go off throughout the day. And when these 5 alarms go off throughout the day, if you can, remove yourself from the situation for 3 minutes. And then start to just breathe and center and come down and slow down. Because now what you're doing is you're instituting these pauses throughout the day, regardless of whether the situation requires or not. I'm starting to train my subconscious mind that it's important for me to pause and slow down. So I introduce these spaces. Not only will it bring me back to center, and so, we say meditation. I like a better word, it's recalibration. I want to continually recalibrate myself to my center. The next thing is, in every interaction that I have, I can practice pausing before I do or say something. As the great Viktor Frankl said, the still point between stimulus and response is the master key. So he just gave it to us, and we all know an event happens, and what do new people do? They react, and an outcome happens. But what do people who've been in the game for a long time do? An event happens, they go pause, time out, hold on.
And respond.
And now they can choose a response. The act of choosing the response is consciousness in play, right? And that's the superpower. And I think if people could understand the power of the pause to give you time and space to come down and choose something that's not a reaction, is the most powerful thing we can do, not just, Joe, in our careers, but in our relationships at home. We all know how difficult this work is. And we have to know how to self-regulate. So that self-regulation, bringing you down, pausing before everything gets crazy, is not only the master key to making great decisions consistently over time, but it's also the master key to processing emotions and tension and stress so it doesn't build up and then, an explosion happens.
Yeah. And I really appreciate the concept, the 5 alarm thing. And I think the real challenge, and it would be worth doing the experiment, is regardless of, unless it is a life or death situation, don't rationalize, do the pause, because finding time to do that and be mindful and present in the moment, giving yourself the grace to take space, is one of the most important things we can do. And so when you do that, Harinder, when you do this, take time, make space, what practices do you use? What works for you?
Okay, very simply, the objective is get out of your head into your body. That's the thing, because many times when people are doing this, they're just doing it in their head or they're just doing some breathing. So the very first thing is, let's activate awareness. We activate the awareness by first and foremost saying, and even do it with me right now, okay? And let's see the difference in people listening at home. Look how quick it is. Joe, I want you to feel the shape and size of your body. Note what that just did. You're like, oh, I'm a three-dimensional object, right? Instantly.
Yeah.
Okay, step number 2. Now, Joe, I want you to feel the weight of your body. So feel the shape and size of your body and feel the weight of your body. And you notice instantly, boom, you feel like you're an object in this room, the whole room, everything just lit up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, number 3, the center. Put your mind in your center of gravity. The center of gravity, right? Like where everybody's belly button, in the center between the back and the belly button, that center of gravity, your CG, the center of intelligence, the gut, right? Put your mind there. That center has a weight. It has a location. It's defined by the shape and size and weight of your body. And the shape and size and weight of your body determines where that center is. It's a relationship. So right now, boom, put your mind in the center. Mind down, not mind up. Mind down, feel the shape, size, and weight of your body, and notice now how everything just shifted.
Yeah.
Now we've changed our relationship with time and space out of head into the body, and the weight brings you into the ground because tension rises up. We must come down. Now from here, step number 4. Step number 4, now I can feel the room. And now we could do this all the time. We could do this driving. You could do this walking. You could do this talking. The question really is, why am I not living from here?
Yeah. Well, and it absolutely makes sense. And like I asked before, and I knew what the answer was going to be, and I was just waiting for you to give it, was it applies to everyone in all of those situations, because I can hear the sirens. You're driving, heart's pounding, the right time to, okay, sure, be intentional about the breathing, make sure you're oxygenating, blood gas exchange, all that stuff's happening well. But like you just said, in this moment, I am the weapon system. I am the object that needs to be used appropriately when I get there, and I have to be present and ready with myself. And those 4 steps you just gave are great examples of how to do that. But the same thing works in a boardroom. The same thing works in the waiting room outside of a doctor's office when all hell feels like it's breaking loose and the world is coming down on you. It works there too. So I love it. I think that is a tremendous amount of resource. I hope everybody paid attention and played along with us as we did that, because it definitely is effective. You mentioned earlier the art of following. Leaders follow first. And literally that is the name of your presentation. Let's spend a second on that. What's that mean?
Okay, so as a leader, I need to know you. I have to spend, if I'm leading a team, if I'm leading individuals, I'm leading my family, I need to know you. So the first part is know myself. I can't know you till I know myself. So the first part of that following is to know myself. The second is to know you. So to know you means I have to follow you. That means I have to connect to you to find out what is important to you. I need to be you looking at me. I need to be able to get rid of me and come inside you and look through your eyes and your lens looking at me. So I'm following you, following me. And I have to be able to build that relationship because I need to know what is important to you. I need to know how you receive information. I need to know how you process information. So for example, one of them is, are you a thinker, a doer, or a feeler? And what order do you make your decisions? See, we all know some people think, then they do, and then they feel, that didn't feel right. Some people we know, they just jump off the cliff, and on the way down, they're like, oh, I should have thought about this, right? So we all have this patterning, right? Think, do, feel. So if I said think is 1, feel is 2, do is 3, right? So we make our decisions in different orders. So I need to understand who you are to be able to communicate to you the way that you're going to receive the information. That's very important. I think many times what ends up happening with leadership is we force onto people. And we cannot force onto people. We need to be able to follow them first to understand where they're coming from, to be able to join with them. And now once I've joined with you like 2 rivers, now we can redirect and lead that river and not force. And most importantly, leadership is about respect. Leadership is about respect, not you respecting me if I'm the leader. It's me giving you respect. That's the most important thing, because most of the time leadership is done out of fear, right? It's
What do you mean
respect.
by that?
Say that again,
I
sir?
think I understand you, and I think I even agree implicitly. But leadership's done out of fear. What do you mean by that?
Well, sometimes we lead people, and we lead people because if I'm a leader, I'm afraid I need to get these results. And so fear is happening. And so that's influencing what I'm saying to people. Then my people following me are afraid of what's going to happen if they don't follow me, right? If they don't listen to me. So fear is everywhere, and fear doesn't empower us. True leadership is when you look at somebody and you're like, man, I trust that individual. I trust my leader. Why? Because he shows up and he says what he is going to do, and he leads from the front, right? So we understand that piece. But most importantly, what it is that when I have a good leader around me, why am I going to follow this person? I'm going to follow this person because he trusts himself and he knows who he is, and he does not let his emotions get in the way. And that's a very, very important thing, because I don't want to, when we take a look at trust, we all want to trust ourselves. You see, that's the thing. And so if I'm building a team, I want to build a team of people who trust themselves, right? And that starts with the leader first. And that's the key thing, that we have to empower people to be leaders themselves. And the only way we can do that is to connect to them. I need to know you. I need to know how you think. I need to know how you process things. I need to know what drives you. I need to know what's important to you. And that means I have to invest time in you. That means I got to follow you. And once I know that, I can effectively communicate to you. Otherwise, I'm trying to force things. And if I'm trying to force things, well, sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
So let me ask you, and I don't think anyone has this impression right now, but leadership is it okay? Is it acceptable and understanding for leaders to experience fear? Is that rational? Is that okay sometimes?
Of course.
Okay.
Fears. We can all experience fear.
And
Fear is
so it's
part of it.
not, you're not saying to not experience fear, not lead without fear, and never have that experience. I think it's actually worth talking about for half a second here is, what do you do in those moments of genuine fear? Not necessarily the manufactured fear that many leaders come from. And I did implicitly understand where you were going with that. And
Yes.
you're right. Many of those external factors, what my boss expects of me, and I have to get these results. And quite frankly, I'm insecure around my people because I've got a little bit of imposter syndrome type fear. That's what you're saying. Get over, know yourself, work through that, and become
Yep.
the leader they deserve. But there are those moments where leaders are afraid. What do you do in those moments?
Of course. And fear is natural, right? We all have two fears, really. If you think of the fear of being hit or hurt and the fear of being humiliated, right? And so depending on the situations that are arising, fear is very real. But the thing happens is that, what is my process for dealing with fear? When fear shows up, really it's of uncertainty. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm uncertain. So in those moments, it's a signal for me to focus. It's a signal for me to understand that my ability to be certain in uncertainty comes from my ability to change. I cannot have a fixed approach. That's the key thing that ends up happening. So if I don't know what's going to happen, and that's where fear kicks in. There's an uncertainty. We don't know how this is going to go. Okay, we got to let that go, because that doesn't help us. I have to acknowledge it. I have to accept it. But then I got to let that go, and I have to now say that my trust is in my ability to change, because that's going to be the ultimate weapon that we have. Number one is know yourself. Number two is turn your awareness into a weapon. And number three, like Bruce Lee said, you got to be like water, and you got to flow. You got to change. You got to adapt. We take a look at street fights, right? Or you take a look at street encounters. You cannot have a fixed approach to a fluid exchange. We can't do that. And then if I say, this is what I want, this is an expectation, I'm going to create tension because I'm chasing after a result that hasn't happened. That's why we got to come right back to the moment and change and flow and adapt. That's the best we can do. If I don't do that, now I'm outnumbered, because my voice in my head is panicking, it's tripping out. And then the second thing, I have to deal with the actual threat. And as a leader, now I'm also putting that on my team. And now everybody is being influenced by that.
Well said. Well said. And yeah, I think there's a difference between embracing fear and understanding what it is and how to use it versus running scared. And a lot of times the running scared will push you through recklessly or
Yes,
cause you to run away scared.
that's it.
But in the moment, and I didn't have the words for it, but as I was thinking through it, it is literally Bruce Lee's "Be Like Water" because it is that change, that evolution in the moment to meet it where it's at and not have that fixed mindset of there's only one outcome. I can adjust to this. And I think the leader who is aware of their fear, if I'm hearing you correctly, is stable enough, conscious enough, competent enough, and trust themselves enough to say, in this moment, I need to create space and time. In this moment, I need to adjust and maneuver versus just hitting this head on and getting that outcome that I've projected should happen. And it doesn't. And then I end up in a worse position. So, yeah, thank you very much. As you kind of evolved this, approach to leader development, where did it come from?
When you take a look at being like water and changing, right? And adapting. We look at The Art of War. You look at Goro no Sho, The Book of Five Rings, Miyamoto Musashi. You look at all great classic texts that are about strategy and applying strategy. They all come to two things. Number one is know yourself, it's the central theme. And number two is change. They all talk about the same thing. Even when Sun Tzu says that a good general has a plan before he gets on the battlefield, but once he gets on the battlefield, he abandons all plans because he has to be able to take data and information and change in real time. So these are timeless classics that have been written. But when you stop and you take a look at training, how do we train for those who are defensive tactics instructors? Are we training change and the ability to change under changing circumstances? Or are we changing fixed responses under fixed things that are coming, fixed stimulus that are coming to us? Out there in the field, if we practice the way we train and train the way we practice, because you're going to fight the way you practice, right? Or you're going to adapt the way you practice, then adaptability has to be the key. Transitioning has to be the key. So we take a look at in defensive tactics. Okay, this could end up being a discussion. The discussion could turn into a scuffle. The scuffle could go to the ground. The ground could go for my weapon. I might have to get up and then I have to chase. Then more people may come. There's so many inputs that can happen. And out in the field, so many things that can come about that the only thing that I can trust is my ability to be here now and change. And so all of the training comes down to that. My teachers have taught me that. The work that I've done with all the different agencies, and I've been blessed to be at ILEETA. This is, I think, the 14th or 15th year presenting. But the thing is, I get feedback every time from being there with the great officers that come. I think it's one of the greatest institutions on the planet, and everybody should be coming to ILEETA because you got people coming and bringing their own experiences. Not only are they coming to attend classes, but they're providing valuable feedback and valuable insights, and that's how you grow. And at the center of all of that, to answer your question, Joe, is the state of the operator. It always comes down to the state. And then when we talk about if state is the important thing, because what we all know, 90% of success is mindset. Everybody's heard it. So the question, if 90% is mindset, and what percentage of time, training, energy, and resources goes into developing mindset, training mindset, and that mindset and state, and let's go even beyond mindset, state of being.
State of the operator.
State of the operator, because that is the base operating system upon which all decisions, tactics, strategies, leadership, presentations are all made on the state of the operator. So the fundamental root of all success, the master key, is you. And are you right here, right now, seeing what's actually happening? And can you change with change? And that's the key across everything.
Can you change with change and the state of the operator? Man, hey, we are at that 30-minute mark, and I feel like we just got started, dude. I knew I was going to enjoy this conversation. It's going to continue both at ILEETA, and I want to get you back on here to kind of really dig into these because I think when it comes to the state of the operator, all we did was scratch the surface, because there are many different levels, many domains to the state of the operator, and each of those domains is really worthy of their own full conversation. And so, Harinder, thank you so much for your time today and joining us for this. I cannot wait to see you at ILEETA in just about 5 weeks. It's going to be an amazing conference, and your contribution to it with this presentation, dude, it's rock solid. I'm excited about it. So over to you. Very last words. What can we expect if we're sitting on the fence? What am I going to walk out of your class with?
You're going to walk out of your this class knowing, getting a better idea of who you are. You have to. And this is that investigation that goes in there. You get a better idea of really seeing how you make decisions, and where are the gaps between the decisions, the way we've made them, and where room for improvement is. And most importantly, you're going to walk out of here with a method to not only connect to yourself, connect to other people, whether those people are people on the street, your teams, to something greater than yourself. You are going to walk away with an ability to change and adapt. But most importantly, it's about creation, right? And what is true creation? Solving a problem when the problem is changing. And that's art to me, because we have to remember, policing is an art. This is an art form. And in this art form, you're the artist. There's a canvas, there's a brush, and we have to bring that aspect to it, not only to keep ourselves safe, other people safe, but most importantly, we want to live a life that's more fuller, more freer.
Thank you. Inspirational as always. Cannot wait to see you in a few weeks. Hey, stick around. I got a couple other questions for you.